Yeah, very, very important conversations indeed as they relate to our health. And we continue that right now as we focus on the festive season, which is usually that time where all our diets and lifestyle changes are put on the back seat and indulgence takes the lead. But this morning, we are chatting about the small factors that you can keep in mind to ensure that you stay on the right track while enjoying December. And we're talking all things health this morning, and healthy fats in particular. In our next conversation, specifically the differences between canola oil and sunflower oil. So let's get into it with our BWELL dietitian, Kluyts. Good to see you. How are you?
Well, yourself?
Very, very well. Are you in the festive mood yet?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we went to the carols the other night, and it's definitely a lovely time of year with family being here as well.
Excellent. Glad to hear that. As we reflect on the festive season and take a look at our eating habits as South Africans, how do they look from a dietitian's point of view?
Well, I must mention that if we look at some of the latest surveys, we tend to follow a very typical Western diet, which really looks at, firstly, most of us eat only once to twice a day.
Okay.
And then we also see that we tend to be, most of us, meat eaters.
Yes.
So that's part of the plate.
During this time.
I think definitely. And then, of course, we know that we should be having more fruit and vegetables. That's what the surveys show.
Yes.
But we tend to also increase our intake of starchy foods and then what we call ultra-processed foods, which are those that are on the shelf and have more fat in it as well as lots of sugar.
Yeah.
We tend to be following diets of that nature at this point.
And when we talk about fats, right, they come in a range of if you want to break them down to a biological or micro level, there are different kinds of fats in all the kinds of food that we eat, but we're focusing right now on the differences between canola oil, sunflower oil. And sunflower oil is probably something that we all grew up with at home, cooking with.
Yes.
When we look at the differences between these two oils, what are we looking at specifically?
I think it's always a good place to start exactly what you've just mentioned. So we're looking at, this is a fat, it's an oil. And then we get the different types of fats. So we get what we call a monounsaturated, unsaturated, as a polyunsaturated. Those are the two unsaturated, better types of fats. And then we've got the saturated and the trans fats, and they tend to be a problem.
Okay.
So when we go back to looking at something like your polyunsaturated fats, they divide it into two. So the one is your omega-6 and one is your omega-3.
Okay.
So keep with me.
I'm with you. I'm with you, yes.
So with your omega-6, which is a fat that we find in oils such as sunflower seed oil.
Okay.
Those ones seem to be very high already in our Western diet. So adding in more of a sunflower seed oil, we tend to increase our intake of omega-6.
Okay, all right. Due to the fact of how we prepare our food most often, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a very important thing. Firstly, we never advocate deep frying, but from a health perspective in particular. But when you do look at increasing your omega-6, there is, of course, also issues regarding, from a health perspective, surrounding omega-6 intake and then increasing your omega-6.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think at some point I was of the idea or the thought that if it has omega in front of it, it's good for you, because there's omega-3s, omega-6s, and all kinds of omega acids, fatty acids. So what does it do to your body if you have a high intake of omega-6?
Right. So in our Western diet, we already have a high intake of omega-6, and then if we obviously exasperate it and have a higher intake, it has been found to be more pro-inflammatory, which means it increases the potential risk of things like our different disease states, such as your heart disease, your high blood pressures. It can potentially, influence the risk of cancer. So we want to also take in more of our omega-3.
That's what we want. Does that serve the opposite effect of omega-6?
Yes, in actual fact, this is the good news about something like canola oil. It is high in omega-3.
Yes.
And it helps it's been shown to be part of reducing inflammatory responses or inflammation in the body. So increasing your omega-3 in your diet by adding in more omega-3 rich fats and oils has been shown to help reduce that. And then it also helps to thin the blood, which plays a role in helping to control blood pressure better. And it also has been shown to help reduce the risk of certain cancers, increasing your omega-3 in your diet.
Well, there we go. All right, and just a last couple of tips that you might share that you implement within your friend circles or your family circles with regards to our diet this festive season. What would you say?
Absolutely. So I think at this point in time, we know people are going to overindulge. But my saying is always, remember, Christmas is one day. Have a lovely time. And don't keep too many leftovers. And incorporate, you know, those salads and those veggies onto your plate. And if you are having something to drink, always make sure you have a little chaser with some sparkling or still water, you know, so that you can even it out throughout your festive season.
I absolutely love that, Megan. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
So introduce your family to the range of healthy foods and flavors from around the world that rely on healthy fat to deliver their great flavor. And you think about those nut-based sauces of the Mediterranean that make other health foods, such as vegetables and fish, more appealing and flavorful. And BWELL has created a cookbook with amazing recipes that you can try. It's very quick and very easy and free to download on bwellfoods.co.za.